We're back. The best of food and wine with Anthony Gismondi and Kasey Wilson, live from the Wines of Canada stage at the 2017 Vancouver International Wine Festival. Now, here's Tony and Kasey.
Welcome back to the best of food and wine. I'm Tony Gismondi.
I'm Kasey Wilson.
I forgot who I was.
Yeah, you did.
We're wrapping up the afternoon session here at a jam-packed wine festival. Actually, I am going on, but really I've never seen so many people in the afternoon at this tasting. So you're not going to get a ticket next year, I guess, from what I can see.
No, you better get one now.
Our final guest today is joining us to talk a lot about Taylor Fladgate ports. Jorge Ramos, welcome back.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Great to have you. Great to have a port producer. Are you alone in the room this year?
We are Portugal this year.
Don't you love that?
Love it.
Yeah, it's always good to be one of one. And you brought a couple of great wines. Actually, well, we're going to talk about this older wine in a minute, which I've learned something dramatic that I didn't know 2 minutes ago. But let's start with port. What is the state of port sales today? Is it back? Is it down? Is it up? Is there enough? Is there not enough?
We have plenty of port. The state of sales are very good. There's increase of port sales worldwide. We're opening new markets. We export to 112 markets currently.
Wow.
There's a demand for better port. So we have consumers that are paying slightly more for a premium quality port. So the traditional entry-level ports that 20 years ago were quite common is no longer the case. So people we've been able to upgrade the consumer to a better type of port.
Yeah, which is good for everybody, I guess.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, you brought a couple of ports today, so we're going to start with the Taylor Fladgate 20-year-old Tawny. So Tawny port, I mean, there's two styles of port.
Yep, correct.
You would describe them as?
Two styles of port, two brand categories, Ruby port and Tawny port. Mm-hmm. Ruby port ages for limited time in large 50,000-liter barrels, and then age further in the bottle, such as vintage port. Today we decided to focus on Tawny ports. Mm-hmm. Tawny ports age in small barrels, 600-liter barrels, and we have quite a large stock of Tawny ports at our cellars dating back to the mid-1800s. Tawny ports age in small barrels by year. So today we decided to bring in two wines, 20-year Tawny, which is a blend of many different years to average 20, and we do this with a 10-year, 20, 30, and 40. So we're one of the few houses that can actually bring to market a full century of port.
Yeah. I know when this wine is certified. When I was young, I didn't really get the concept till I went to Portugal, but the people who tasted and certify this wine, as you said, there's some 30-year-old and 35 and 40 and 10, but the flavor is 20. The taste is 20, and the people who say, yep, you can pour this wine, they do it by taste. It's really amazing.
That's exactly it. It's a flavor profile that each house looks to have when they're prepared to bottle.
And there, for our listeners, there's a 10, 20, 30, 40-year categories, so it has to meet that flavor. By the way, the smell of this wine is unbelievable.
It's a raw made.
It smells like being in the cellars. Like when you're in there, it's incredible. It just immediately transports you to the place.
That's exactly it. This year Taylor Fladgate celebrates its 325th anniversary.
Wow.
So we have quite a bit of stock of very old Tawny ports that we can bring to market. This year we decided to do something quite interesting. Every so often we release a very old Tawny port.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago we released in BC the 1863 port, so pre-Confederation, pre-Canada.
Yeah. And it's been sitting around since then.
It's been sitting around in these seasoned wooden barrels for forever.
Full of oxygen.
Full of oxygen.
Once it gets that oxygen in it, it seems to live forever then.
That's exactly it. So everything starts out this dark ruby color, and then with age, with oxidation, the wine moves from that dark ruby color to a lighter tawny amber color, loses the fresh fruit and gains more of the dry fruits, the figs, the dates, the apricots, the walnut, hazelnut flavors.
Yeah.
And what would be your favorite pairing with this glass of tawny port?
Tawny ports are great with creme brulee, an apple pie, a cheesecake, or as desserts. I like to call the tawny liquid creme brulee.
Yes.
So for those folks that don't necessarily want to have dessert, finish the meal with a tawny port.
It's almost, to me, the aroma of creme brulee.
Yeah. It's so complex and nutty, and well, anyway, we could talk about it forever. It's delicious wine. Thanks for bringing that along. And people can taste this in the room.
It's exactly. We have 10, 20 available for tastings, as well as the ruby ports.
And it's also now widely available in the marketplace as well. What would people pay for a bottle of 20-year-old tawny?
The 20 retails for $65.
$65, okay. And the thing about this, think about it, it's been in barrels forever.
Forever, with 3% evaporation rate on an annual basis.
So I take a bottle of this home and I open it, it's not going to become oxidized because it already is. So I can have a glass every night for 30 days, something like that.
Exactly. Once opened, tawny ports are good to go for a couple of months.
Yeah.
Should you have that
So problem. This is okay for me to take this bottle home because it's going to be, it's so delicious. Okay. Now you brought a really sensational bottle with you in a wooden case, and actually I've seen this bottle recently, and I hadn't paid much attention to it other than the vintages. Wow, the new one's 67. But you've done something really cool.
We've been able to do these interesting things at Taylor. So last year, on my flight home from the Vancouver Wine Festival, I thought of this neat idea to help celebrate Canada's 150 years by doing this special packaging for Canada.
Cool.
Beautiful.
So the wine is from the year of the year that
1967.
1967.
Yeah.
Single harvest tawny. So it's part of that batch of wines from that single year that we've had aging since then, and made in the year that Canada celebrated its centennial.
And so it's a really weird concept, but it's sitting in a barrel somewhere, and you can bottle it, but you might bottle it 25 different times over the next 50 years, and so every wine is different, even though it comes from the 1967 vintage.
That's correct.
And can we purchase this in Vancouver?
No, it's not available, Kasey.
It's all mine.
Yeah, no. Of course we can purchase it.
Yes, it is available at the government liquor stores as well as some private stores.
How would you describe a single vintage tawny? What would be some of the differences that wouldn't have the complexity of all those vintages, but it would have the...
Exactly. We're subject to the characteristics and the individualities of that particular year. Traditionally, at Taylor Fladgate, we focused on consistent wine in 10, 20, 30, and 40. We can always blend the good years with the bad years or the not-so-good years and get to that flavor profile that's consistent throughout the history of Taylor Fladgate. With 67, and because we have all of these wines aging by year, quite frequently the tasting panel goes through and tastes the different years, see how they're coming along. And this was an example of a great year on its own that we were able to bottle rather than blend with the 30 or the 40-year-old blend. So it's an exceptional year that sat in barrels for 50 years.
Wow.
It seems like the numeral 7 is quite important in port.
It's in port, the best wine that a port producer can make is a vintage port. So we've had some great vintage years. On average, in port, in the Douro Valley, the decision to declare vintage port is a house-by-house decision. So on average, Taylor Fladgate, we've declared 3 times a decade in the last 325 years. And of those years, many actually end in a 7, such as the 2007, which we had the opportunity to taste yesterday.
Wow.
97, 77, some great vintages ending in 7.
27, I think.
Coincidentally, in the history, the 325 years of Tale of Fladgate, we only had 1 year that we declared ending in a 9.
Is that right?
2009.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. So the current state of vintage port in Canada is the 2011 vintage, is that correct?
2011 is the last vintage which we declared and is available in Canada. We have 2009 and 2007 also around in
And what's
BC.
the next vintage? Do we know?
We don't know.
We know. You know. You're not telling us.
When do you decide?
So,
and how do you decide?
A vintage port is decided 2 years after the harvest. So the wine spends 1 year in the Douro Valley. So at Tale of Fladgate, we own 3 properties, the largest of the 3 being Vargelis. Everything's still picked by hand. We bring the grapes down to a traditional winery where the winemaking occurs. The wine is fortified and will age in the Douro Valley for 1 winter. In the spring of the following year, the wine will come down river to Vila Nova de Gaia, which is the town across from the city of Porto, where the wine gets its name from, on the south bank of the river, facing north. Perfect conditions for aging wine. For that period, the wine is aging in Vila Nova de Gaia. It's still aging by vineyard or by lot, and we're seeing how the wine is aging, how it's developing, and essentially in February and March of 2 years on, that's when we start to blend the wine, come to a fine blend, and then make the decision to declare.
And what is really cool is that this wine right here was a potential vintage port. Because every year it goes into the barrel, and for 2 years we don't know where it's going to go, whether it's going to go down the tawny road or the port road or whatever. So every wine has a chance to be a vintage port when it's super young. It's kind of like all of us. We have a chance to be something in our lives.
Exactly.
And some of us didn't do much with it, but you know.
I know Stilton with port.
Yeah.
Fantastic match. Anything else you have with a vintage port?
Traditionally Stilton cheese. I love port with chocolate. For me, it's the perfect pairing. Port, vintage port, and chocolate. It's amazing.
I love port with everything. I really love port. I'm so pleased you're going to be part of the group next year.
Yes.
What group is that, Kasey? Are you blabbing out
well,
of turn,
I know it was announced at the breakfast, so I'm just not sure how much I can say.
It was announced at the breakfast?
Yes.
Oh, well, there you go.
I'm part of the group every year. This is actually my 11th wine festival.
Wow.
George, thanks so much for joining us today and for bringing 2 great wines, the Taylor Fladgate 20-year-old Tawny Port, and really for collectors and people who love port, the 1967, the Single Harvest Port, from Taylor Fladgate, which has a lovely Canadian theme celebrating our 100th birthdays. Thanks so much.
It's kind of in the $200 range.
Kind of.
Yes. Yeah. There's a couple of prices there. So
it's about $250, isn't it? Or?
It's about $250.
Yeah.
$250. Okay, Tony.
Casey's range is always 50 or 50 up or 50 back.
I think we should each throw $100 down.
We got to go. We got to go. We're almost out of time. Thanks for joining us for this session. We got one more coming up. We're on the floor of the Vancouver International Wine Festival. It's the best of food and wine. It's a special edition, and you can listen to us on 650 CISL.
We're live from the Wines of Canada stage at the 2017 Vancouver International Wine Festival. There's more of the show coming up in just 2 minutes.